Hello, and welcome to Yes You Can DIY Digital Marketing by TTG. Today's tutorial is going to take a look at how to segment and tag in Mailchimp. So we're just going to jump right in here. I already have Mailchimp up and I'm in my audience, and to get to audience, just click here on audience. I've already imported my tagged contacts, but very quickly I will go over how that is done. You come here to manage audience, import contacts. You can import an entire CSV, which is great if you have a lot of contacts in a CSV file. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste because I only have a handful of them. Click on continue. I'm copying from my Excel spreadsheet and pasting. You don't see me actually copying and pasting because it's keyboard shortcuts. So if you don't know the shortcuts, it's Control-C on a PC and to copy, and Control-V to paste. And if you're on a Mac, it's Command-C and Command-V. Okay, so we always want to check this off because if you go over your paid amount of contacts, you will be upgraded if you go over because you're paying based on contacts. Okay, so we're going to click Continue to Match. You'll see here that it recognized the email field, but it didn't recognize the others. So here we're going to go to Edit. This is their first name, Save. This is the last name. Click on Save. On this, so these are unique. It's the make and the body style of the vehicles. So what you need to do, as you can see, there's address, like that's, for example, phone number. Those are fields that are already in Mailchimp. But what I did was I clicked on Create New Field and created make and body. So I'm going to go ahead and select them because I have them already created. All right, click Save. So now it recognizes. So now it's all mapped and Mailchimp knows what each of these match up with. Click Continue to Organize. And then here, you can add an existing tag or create. If you need to create one, you click on the plus sign. All you do is type it in here. It'll come up like this, just hit enter and it'll create the new one. But I already have it created here, so I'm going to choose Chevy. They're subscribed, so I'm going to leave this here, subscribe, and you do have these other options here. And I'm going to click on Update Existing Contacts. You want to make sure if you have contacts already Mailchimp and maybe they have some sort of updated information that you're importing, make sure you select this because Mailchimp will recognize that it's a duplicate, that it already exists, and it will update the information. Click on Continue to Review. All right, so this is just double checking what you're doing. I'm importing, the 5 out of the 5 columns. If you had extra columns that you didn't want to import, then you would just hit on skip in that previous screen, and then it would tell you, say there were 10 here, or say 5 out of 10, for example. You've got your tags applied, you're subscribed, and we're updating existing contacts. I'm going to click on Import. All right, so 3 contacts updated or added. They were already in here, so it didn't really need to be added, but that was just to walk through the screens there. Okay, so now you can see our audience here. And no worries, these are made up email addresses, so somebody's actual email address is not being shared. So you can see here how it matches up with the first name, last name, and it has the make and body that I created. And you can see here that we have tags. We've got Toyota, Nissan, Chevy, and Ford. And there is duplication. You'll see here that there's the make is Toyota and the tag is Toyota. And that's on purpose because I want to show a different examples of a few different ways that you can do this when we get to the segmenting. So you can use the different categories that you add for segmenting, and you can use tags for segmenting. What's great about the tags is that if you set up a form on your website and somebody submits the form, you can send those submissions to the tag, and then you can set up automation. So for example, somebody signs up, they're tagged as Toyota, and then you have Mailchimp set up with an automatic email that goes to people who sign up under this tag, and you don't have to do any work. It's already set up. It triggers it automatically. It's a wonderful thing. Okay. I'm going to click on back to audience just so you can see how to navigate here. So one thing I want to point out is that if you are doing segmenting and tagging, you want everything in one audience. If you have any kind of crossover whatsoever between contacts, you don't want them in separate audiences. So for example, here I have people who drive trucks and I have people who like Ford, people who like Chevy, and there's crossover because some like trucks, some like cars, some like sedans, some like hatchbacks. So there's a lot of crossover, and there's a lot I can do with segmenting and tags, but only if they're in the same audience. So I really do recommend really only having one audience and making use of tags within every audience, and that's how you identify who's who and categorize. Okay, so now I have them tagged by make. But what if I also want a tag identifying everybody who prefers trucks over sedans or hatchbacks? I am going to click on add a tag. So you see everyone here who prefers trucks. I can sort by body, which makes it a lot easier for me to go here and select all these people who are truck drivers. Okay, go here to add or remove tags, and we're going to create a new one called truck. I'm just going to hit enter for that to take. And now you can see in the tags column, they're tagged truck and Toyota, truck and Ford, truck and Nissan, truck and Chevy. So this is really shaping up to look the way that I want it to. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with hatchback. Okay, add or remove tag, put in hatchback, enter. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the same with sedans and all the other models. Sorry, makes. Great. So you can see that we have these tagged by both make and body style. All right. So again, we're going to go back to the overview just so you can see the other options here that you have under manage contacts. So you can view archived, unsubscribed. Groups are also another way of identifying categories. We're going to stick with tags right now. They're pretty similar, really. People do get confused with the two a lot. So because tags is very easy to use, and you can set up forms to form submissions to be submitted to tags, and you can set up automations with it. We're going to stick with tags for now. And then segments is a little different from tags, so we're going to take a look at that. So you've got a lot of things you can look at here. We're going to just kind of skip over a lot of this because just due to time and because we really want to stay focused on the tagging and segmenting. Okay, so next step. So let's say we want to create an email. We'll call this July 2020 newsletter. And so this is really what I want to show you is the recipients here. So click on edit recipients. And I called, because this is a tutorial, that's what I called my audience, TTG tutorial. Not a real audience, but we're going to pretend like it is. And you can send your email to the entire audience, or you can come here and choose from these tags. So say you only want to send an email to people who love trucks and your message is about trucks. So you don't want to send it to the people who prefer hatchbacks and sedans because that's not something that they're going to engage with. So you click on truck. So now you're sending your email only to people who love trucks, and then you click save. We're not going to go through the rest of creating an actual email, but wanted to make sure you're aware of how you can use tags very powerfully to target specific people in your audience who will respond to different messaging. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to audience. And now we're going to take a look at segmenting. So you come here, view audiences, We're going to click on this audience, TTG tutorial, manage contacts, and we're going to click on segments. Okay, so we don't have any segments saved right now. So we're going to go ahead and create segment. And what's really cool about segments is that Mailchimp is doing a lot of the work for you, so you're not doing it manually. Now, we only have 12 contacts here, but this is assuming that, you know, your list has grown, you have a lot of contacts, you can't possibly go through these manually. And think of it like a calculator. You know, if you were trying to do math with really large numbers, you wouldn't do it in your head. You would grab your calculator and the calculator does the work for you. It's the same idea where Mailchimp has lots of data and it can pull all of that data for you rather than you trying to figure it out yourself. Think of segments as a way of filtering. All right. So what's important to understand when you're creating a segment is if you're going with any or all. So any means that if there are two conditions, it can be either or. It can be one or the other condition. When you choose all, it has to meet both conditions. So we're going to go with any to start out. And you can see here, you've got a lot to choose from. So let's say we're going to start with tags. You can combine tags. So let's say I have tags. You can choose that they are tagged or not tagged in something. So we're going to go with Chevy. I'm going to add. And again, we're going to come here and choose tags. Contact is tagged in Ford. Okay. So we have Chevy and Ford. So these are American makes, right? So we're going to create this segment based on these two American vehicles. And click on Preview Segment. Okay. Save segment. And we're going to name it American. All right, let's go back to Overview. Manage Contacts. Segments. All right, there's American. Let's create another one based off of tags. So again, it's any because it can be either or. Tags. This time we're going to choose Nissan. One more. Or Toyota. And the reason we're doing or is because the way we have it set up is we don't have anyone who's tagged both Nissan and Toyota. So then you would result in 0 contacts in that segment because there is nobody who meets both of those criteria. So because there are people who meet the Nissan criteria or they meet the Toyota criteria, they are going to be included in your segment. So let's preview, save, and this one will be called Japanese because these are Japanese companies. Go back to segments. All right, so now you can see you have American and Japanese. And let's go see if that campaign saved that I started. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so let's edit this. This is our fake campaign. Edit recipients. So now you have segments to choose from. Sorry, scrolled down too far there. So here they are. So let's say you only want to send an e-blast to people who prefer American-made cars. You can click on American. If they prefer Japanese-made cars, Japanese. So this will go to anybody who drives and prefers Nissan and Toyota. It's really, really cool how you can segment. And I have a few more examples that will really help you. Oops, I didn't mean to click there. I meant to go to audience. Okay. So let's go back to manage audience, view audiences. This is the only audience that we have. Come back here. We're going to go to segments again and create segment. So let's try all. And let's go by date added. So this is interesting because if you have something that's based on a date, you can go with after, before, is a specific date, within, not within. You have a lot to choose from. And then you have your date that you choose here. We're not really going to do this one, but that's a good one to be aware of. Another thing that's really great is campaign activity. So let's say they did not open any of the last 5 campaigns, or all. Do you want to go with any or all? I'm going to go with all, because if they didn't open all 5, then they're really not engaged. And we don't want to send to people who aren't engaged. We want to segment them out. So let's click on preview segment, save segment. Did not open last 5. Okay, save. And again, we'll go back to the email. So now, when you click on this, you're sending to everyone except the people who didn't open it. So it's filtering all of those people out so that they don't get your campaigns. Since they're not engaging, they're not really the people that you want to base your next decision off of when you look at your analytics. So by excluding them, you'll see truly, as far as the people who are really interested in your product or service, what it is that's working with people who are interested. Okay, so we're not going to move forward with that. I'm going to go back to audience. All right, we're going to create another new one. So this is really great. So you know that we added the merge fields that were called body and make, and we can choose these fields to filter people. So let's go with make, and actually I'm going to make this all instead of any, and you'll see why. So make is add, and then body is truck. All right. This should be one person in this audience because there's one person who meets all of these conditions. There's one person who is named Celeste Brown. She is interested in Chevy and interested in trucks. All right, there it is. Celeste Brown, the only person who meets all of the criteria. So this is very important to understand the any versus all. And let's save this segment, and we're going to call it Chevy Trucks because that's what they prefer. And you can see here it summarizes it for you that anybody here matches all of the following conditions. They like Chevy and they like trucks. It's not either or. But then we'll go back and you'll see the difference if we do any instead of all. And now I go to make is Chevy. Body is truck. Preview. So now you can see there's a lot more people here because it pulled both people who are tagged as Chevy and tagged as truck, no matter which make that they're tagged under, because they're tagged as either or. That's why Mailchimp is pulling it. So on this one, Chevy or trucks. All right. So you can see how there are so many different ways to segment, and you just really have to keep track of what it is that you're segmenting and think of it as who are you including and who are you excluding. You always want to be thinking in terms of that with segments. And just to go a little bit over, your other options. So automation activity, I was talking about how you can send somebody from a form submission to your website, and and they go into a tag, and then maybe you have a series of 3 emails that are triggered from that tag, and then triggered from other actions following that first tag. You can create a segment based on what activity is going on with that automation. We already did campaign as an example. Contact rating, that's something that Mailchimp assigns to your contacts. Like I said, date added earlier. The email client, you have all of these to choose from. I'm not sure why we would want to choose that, but that's an interesting one. Information changing, their language, which is a great one. Maybe you send some in English and you send some in Spanish. You can choose their language and have a segment based on that. So then you can easily send in 2 different languages, depending on what someone's preferred language is. So there's a lot to choose from here. It's really powerful. I highly recommend using segments to filter. So tags are more, think of them as how you're categorizing, and you're making that conscious decision as to how you want to tag your contacts. And then Mailchimp, again, is like your calculator, your database, and they're pulling the data for you based on criteria that you're telling Mailchimp that you want pulled. Thank you for watching, and I hope you got a lot out of this. If you'd like to see more of our content in the future, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and also check out the description for a link to our upcoming live training sessions.